firm believer that what you have to do if you want to be successful is to work hard at the job you've been given. And I've been given an enormous opportunity to serve in Congress. It's something I don't take lightly.
For me, I kind of keep that lens of what it really means for my community, and that inspires me. That pumps me up. And hey, I'm a competitor, you know, and I'm excited for an election because it's a competition of ideas, and we really have a choice between pathways here.
That was a clip from the new documentary, Make It Count, which goes behind the scenes of the Democratic and Republican national conventions. And joining us now are the two men featured in the documentary, Democratic Mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Cory Booker, and Republican Congressman Aaron Schock of Illinois, who joins us from Chicago. Also,
look else is here.
I'm
talking about making
prepared.
it count.
I'm not prepared.
Hey, he made it count last night.
Yeah, he did.
I was at the Yankee game.
The Yankee?
You're lucky I'm here.
Yeah.
Stayed through.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you stay till the end?
All 12.
Has started
Good for you.
to talk
Good
about
man.
baseball.
I did.
You saw history, man.
It was Ibanez was hot. People were hugging, crying. I got married like 4 times last night.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Tell you what,
that's
what did your wife think of that when you got home?
Yes.
He's a tall drink of water, this Brian Sullivan. We just met in person.
Drink of water.
All right, don't get him started. He likes to talk about it.
Nice front line.
What are we?
Would like to talk about it.
You do. You
What do we
point it
have?
out.
You guys keep bringing up.
I point out other physical attributes that jump out at me when I look
How
at
tall are
you.
you?
I'm my giant nose.
6'3".
Now it's the years.
Brian, you're about 6'4".
About that.
6'3", 6'4", 6'3", 6'4".
Oh,
I'm
God.
6'7" with my afro back then.
There you go.
Now I'm going close.
Yeah, well, Brian said before when he was on his disco roller skates, he was about 6'7".
I call that the Xanadu phase.
That was Xanadu.
Yes.
Very much in Xanadu.
Yes.
So talk about this movie, Mr. Mayor.
Well, first of all, I want to give a lot of props to imagine you're a Republican congressman, up and coming, you get a call from a Democrat and says, I'd like to do a behind-the-scenes documentary with you. The first thing should be suspicion. He's like, no, leaning forward, because he knows what I know is right now the biggest generation of Americans after the baby boomers is the millennials coming up. Young people are the voices going to shape politics of the future, and they're not on the front lines of this election. And the way they consume media is entirely different than my generation does as well. They're not traditional media. They're disenfranchised from it. They do it online. They do it on the web. So we created a company, Waywire.com, to give people the ability to share, discover, but more importantly, create content that's important to them about issues they feel passionate about. And this is a behind-the-scenes look at politics right at the conventions. And this courageous congressman agreed to let the cameras in, and I'm just grateful for it. It's an amazing 14-minute documentary.
Look at Aaron Schock.
Yeah,
Pretty
Congressman Schock, who do you hope to connect with this video? Who are we trying to break through to?
Well, good morning, guys. Look, it was great to partner with Mayor Booker on this initiative. I think it accomplishes 2 things. First, it gives people of our generation an inside look at the 2 respective conventions. Not everybody gets the opportunity to go to their party's convention. And second, it's launching a new video social network, Waywire, which gives our generation really a virtual town hall to come and discuss any issue really that's important to them and post it online in an unedited and unfiltered manner. And so I think it accomplishes 2 goals. It was a lot of fun to do, and hopefully people get, maybe inspired to go to their party's convention next time.
I love it.
So Cory, what was what does this film send? What message does it send to younger voters who are being ripped off right now by Washington? They're being ripped off
and feeling really disconnected from Washington.
Feeling disconnected. Politicians are stealing from them and their generation to pay off political promises today. We've got a $16 trillion debt. It'll be $22 trillion in 4 years. What do you say to young voters who are disillusioned?
Well, the simple message, I think, is that democracy is not a spectator sport. You can't sit on the sideline and give color commentary about what's going on. You've got to find ways to get in the game, to lift your voice, to be a part of it. And this voice, this sleeping giant, in a sense, that's awakening, that's turning 18, 19, 20, and so forth, we need their voices inside. And there are tools that my generation didn't have back in the 80s. There are tools that they have now to influence politics. And you've seen flips of that, things like SOPA and other things where the younger generation really drove the debate and discussion. And we want to create more systems, that's what Waywire is about, for them to get involved in the debate.
Mayor, I want to ask you, too, about getting along.
Yes.
Because I think from this show I've noticed that we are a little bit divided as a nation, and it's great to see you guys working so closely together. What's it going to take to get others to do the same thing that you and the congressman have done?
Well, look,
Please give us some reason to hope.
I think there's a lot of reason to hope, and the congressman is, in my opinion, demonstrating that. We're trying to do it in New Jersey. The governor and I have a lot of things we disagree on, but we made a commitment that until it's an election time, let's do what the voters asked us to do, and what we swore an oath to do, to represent everybody and find ways to move forward.
You're hugging it out with Chris Christie at Don Pepe's in Newark.
Absolutely. But this is what disturbs me. I mean, you hear President Obama in the midst of an economic decline gets elected, and you hear congressional voices saying that our #1 goal is not to fix the economy, it's to not let him get reelected. All of us have a responsibility to change that debate and find ways to elevate our voice against that. And again, if in the civil rights movement, if they had the kind of social media and organizing tools that we have today, it would have been a powerful force back then. But today, you said it, we need a new movement to reclaim the idea and the dream and the hope of America. And it could only be accomplished, not by leaders and elected leaders, but by grassroots activism, by people getting involved and lifting their voice. Bad people are elected when good people don't vote. And we've got to get more and more people into the game.
So Aaron, what do you tell young voters who should they go out and vote this November? Because whether Barack Obama wins or Mitt Romney wins, the other side's just going to tear him to shreds. If it's Obama, the Republicans are going to try to make him fail. If it's Romney, the Democrats are going to do the same. What do you tell young voters?
Well, two things. First, young people are going to be living with the consequences of these elections longer than any other generation. Obviously, as the youngest member of Congress, I look to my peers who are 2 and 3 times my age, and oftentimes they won't be living with the consequences of the decisions they're making, the impact on the next generation and generations yet to be born in America. Second, if you want to change the dialogue and discourse in government, as you mentioned, you got to change the elected officials. And I think, Cory and I can lead by example in terms of being bipartisan and working together. But, we are a function of who we represent. And if you only get the extremes of both parties voting in primaries or voting in general elections, then you get more extreme candidates by nature. And it requires more people that are in the center of the country to get involved not just in the election, but I really encourage them to get involved in primaries, because that's oftentimes where the choices are really made in terms of who you have in a general election. And so if you want more level-headed, centrist folks, you gotta get involved in the political process.
So, Cory, and in fact, I'll let you both get a jab at this, but this sounds great. I can't imagine who wouldn't like what the two of you are doing or the message that you're sending. How does the message, though, and the movement that you're starting play in with or against the presidential election that we are facing right now?
Well, look, I think, and I don't want to throw any jabs. I want to just echo what the congressman said. The reality is we have politics that are being changed by the lack of participation. Think about this. My first fundraiser in Washington, D.C. was co-hosted by Jack Kemp and Bill Bradley, 2 guys that came together that are sensible centrist Republicans and Democrats. And what we have now is I see Lugar getting beat. I see Olympia Snowe leaving. I see Simpson, who we were all talking about in Bowles. Please understand what happened to his political career. And so if we allow the extremes of our country, the wingnuts on the right and the far extremes, undermine our ability to come together as a country to make pragmatic decisions, balance sheet analyses of our country. We definitely need to cut spending, but we also need to make investments in the things that are going to return, from infrastructure to education. This is really where most Americans, 80% of us, actually agree on some of these big ticket items, but we have a Congress that can't even settle on paying things like the debt ceiling.
Right. So, Aaron, doesn't this then apply to those running for office right now, including Mitt Romney and President Obama?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it gives a forum for our generation really to get involved politically to build that movement. As Cory mentioned earlier, look, you don't have to run for office to affect change in our country. In fact, you look at some of the people who have affected the civil rights movement, for example, never held elected office. You look at people who were advocates for a women's suffrage or women's right to vote. They were never elected to office. So I think it's instilling that motivation in young people that, look, this is your opportunity in your forum. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to be famous to build a movement behind an issue you think is important. And Waywire is that platform to allow them to do it. This election obviously will be impacted by the young people who show up or don't show up in an election. I think what's important is you've got to get more people engaged in the process and educated. And the other thing that Waywire is, I would argue, is much more serious social video platform. It's not just funny YouTube videos or clips. it's actually a serious discussion about issues of the day.
Well, then we definitely are not interested, Brian.
Yeah, very quickly, Mayor, I want to ask you
video.
about something else. A lot of focus, obviously, on the Yankees, but I want to talk about a different sport, seriously, hockey. You guys built this beautiful new arena in Newark. It employs hundreds of people.
Exciting.
Tens of thousands come in and spend their money. Hockey is locked out. Any closer to get, I mean, this is killing the men and women that work at the arena and a vital part of your district. How do we get this fixed?
I mean, where's the sense of patriotism? It's killing people all over the country in terms of
billionaires fighting billionaires, right? And the men and women at Prudential Center are out of a job.
It's not just a Prudential Center. It's the small business owners in my town. It's other people that rely on the income and revenue, and also the kids. Look, shaping my childhood was growing up and seeing 76, 77 Yankees. It inspired my dreams. I mean, it captivated me. It made me read more.
Right.
And we're cheating not only our economy, we're cheating not only small businesses, we're cheating not only jobs, but we're also cheating the dreams of our kids who enjoy sport. And so they got to fix it. They have to go to the table with a patriotic sense of urgency to settle this dispute.
Mr. Mayor, while we have you here, we have a question to ask you, and I know you'll give us an honest answer. A big announcement here. You were at the Human Rights Campaign dinner the other night, talking about how you'd like to push to see marriage equality signed into law in the state of New Jersey, and you said, quote, when that bill is signed, I may have a very good seat for it.
Well,
what did you mean by that?
Well, very simply, there's very few people that are even more passionate about the 14th Amendment and this idea of equal protection under the law. It's crazy in America that we've created two classes of citizens.
But what about the seat? What seat?
Well, again,
are you running against Chris Christie?
Cory.
Right now, one election at a time. We have 4 weeks until this election, and I will come back on this show when it's election season in Newark. But right now, I have a goal with the governor.
Hey, you know
I have a goal with Governor Christie, and that's to continue to work with him to improve our state.
Just have a
and my
good
city.
ticket broker who will get you good seats.
I am
to the bill
confident.
signing.
I am
Those
confident.
dinners are done
Without equivocation, I'm confident. When, it's not if, when gay marriage, when marriage equality is passed in New Jersey, I will be in the front row.
Sorry.
I'm confident that that will happen, God willing.
I think that if I went up on the catwalk right now and fell off, Cory would catch me.
I would tweet as she was falling. As she was falling, I would tweet.
And there, I just can't believe you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Always having. Thank you, Aaron Schock. Thank you, Congress. Thank you,
Good to be with you guys.
So he's going to run against Chris Christie, huh?
Oh, God, why are you trying to stir those waters?
We're just reading
the
back
governor and I have work to do together.
want to
Let's
see
get through
another
this
hostage
election.
tape.
You guys.
All right.
Oh, it's getting spicy. Let me run.
Now-
There's work to do in Newark. Look at the time.
Waywire.com. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Also, Congressman Aaron Schock, thank you. When we return.